This is my newly arranged bright and airy studio. I'm Jennifer Marie Keller. Welcome to my Diary of a Painter. I mentioned before in my last video that I've been wanting to move into a more brighter, airy aesthetic. And since I like to work from life, the look of my studio reflects the look of my paintings. So now in my studio, I have all the windows are open, the blinds are completely open. I before had a lot of fabric on the windows to make it look even darker in here to match that mood that I was looking for my paintings. But for getting that bright look that I want, I've got all the windows open, the doors are open, and I've been rearranging the furniture a bit in my studio and how things are working flow-wise. And I've designed it so I can work from natural light with, instead of having an intense light source and everything else be closed and shadowy, I have everything open up now so I can be working from a really, really bright setup. And honestly, I guess it might not look too different from when I film in my studio light-wise, because when I film I open up all the windows so I can show what I'm doing, but normally all of the windows and doors and blinds would be closed. Because when I was working on my work before where it had that look of like a romanticized strong light source in a really dark shadowy place, that's how my studio looked, and either everything would be closed except for if I was working from artificial light, then it would just have like a one light source, or if I was working from natural light, everything would be closed except for one part of a window to get that really intense light and dark effect. So this week, starting off the week, I moved everything around, cleaned everything, took all the fabric off the windows and brightened everything up. And then I had started working on some practice studies for still lifes to see how I liked the new studio and trying to like explore this new aesthetic. And I really, really liked it. I feel like it's a much more comfortable environment now to work in all day. And I think what pushed me to do this was the pandemic, honestly. Having everything look closed up and dark, it just feels a lot better now to be in like a bright, airy, luminous studio. And also when I have my baby in a couple months, I feel like we're probably going to be hanging out in here a lot, so this will be a nice comfortable environment then for both of us. I can show you what I've been working on now this week. So I have this area as my setup where I'll place my still life objects on here. And just to like really get that bright and airy look, I've got a white cloth that I'm using right now just to play around with, because usually I have a dark background like black. So this is like quite drastic to what I'm used to. And then this window is almost north facing. It's pretty close to north facing, and what's nice about it is that my neighbor's wall right there for their house reflects a lot of light in here, which is great. And then also behind me, I have these windows and I have these all opened up, so I get more diffused light, so I'm not going to have those dark shadows coming off of the still life objects. So I started off with a flower from my garden, which is actually this flower right here, which is starting to wilt a little bit now. But I first drew it so I could study the structure of the flower. That's pencil and white chalk. And then I went ahead and painted it, and I got the structure in there, and then I kept like blowing out the lights to get a more glow effect to it. So yeah, I felt like I kind of went crazy with just trying to get the brightness in there and worrying a little bit less about a super tight drawing, you can definitely see the difference from like something that's more structured to something that's more focused on the light and glowiness of it rather than contours and that sort of thing. And then I had a candle lit and did this, which at the end of the video, I'll show you the process sped up, how I made this candle. It was interesting. This is the first time I've painted a candle from life. It was very challenging, but something really cool happened. I'm gonna like take that trick and do that a lot more next time I do candles. And so what I really like about my other work, the darker work, is that it's mysterious stories told in the shadows. And I really like that sense of mystery in painting and in my paintings. So I don't want to lose that. So I want to do mysterious stories told in the light, which is going to be challenging because I feel like it's a little easier to get like that moody mystery feeling in a shadowy type of painting. So I've got this idea in the back of my head for how I want my paintings to look. So I'm just now exploring how to get that out onto canvas. So these paintings right here, they're just practice with a lighter value palette. Basically, they're not too mysterious yet, but I'm gonna figure out how to like push it that way. I think my next thing is gonna be working on some dried roses, which I have right here. But these are actually all, well, with the exception of this flower painting right here, but these elements, and then I'm going to paint this golden donkey. These are all elements that I want to be putting in a bigger, more finished and realized still life. So I'm just working on the separate elements right now and practicing with the lighter value palette. I set up the candle, and I really like the look of the candlelight in a light, well-lit space. I start with my palette of white, yellow ochre, Sennelier red, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, and black. It's a pretty limited palette, and I was trying to get that flame to look nice and bright. And so to achieve that, I ended up darkening the candle and the background down a lot so I could get that flame to look as bright and colorful as possible. But then that wasn't giving me that light and airy feel that I was after. So I added a bright yellow to my palette. It's Hansa yellow, which is a non-toxic substitute to cadmium yellow, but definitely is not as powerful as the cadmium. And that let me get the brightness of color I wanted in the flame. So then I could afford to lighten up the candle in the background while still having that flame feel bright and light. I was still struggling though, getting the flame to glow and having that glow appear through the wax of the candle as I see it happening in life. That makes it look really like the candle's actually lit. And then something interesting happened where the candle went out all by itself. And this simplified the subject so much because I was just seeing then the setup being lit from the side window instead of from the side window and the light source of the flame. So I did not relight the candle, and I painted the scene as if it was just lit by the window. Then, when I was satisfied with the painting, I then relit the candle and added the effects of the light of the flame in the wax, and then also how the light of the flame affected the background and everything else in the scene. And I love it. I think I'm going to be using more candles in well-lit areas in paintings in the future, and so I think I'm going to paint it the same way, where I have it painted without the candle lit first, and then light the candle and paint the candlelight effect in, because that was just simplified it a lot and just made more sense to me. If you are interested in owning any of these three pieces, the candle painting, rose painting, or rose drawing, go ahead and shoot me an email at jennifermariekeller@gmail.com.